Well, hello, house guests. This is House of Chatter, and again, we're chattering away for Blake Lively. This time, we have some not so creative Easter eggs. So, I have been wondering who Perez Hilton's sources were. And I looked at the unsealed interrogatories, and it was curious that Billy Bush, of course, was never subpoenaed, but everybody else was, and they all had a common link. And that common link was they all pretty much stated that it was Baldoni's team, right, on January 21st, 2025, which is the same day Blake Lively's unedited video came out. And it is also the same day that they were talking about how to get in contact with Perez Hilton. And they also mentioned Us Weekly. And I believe another entity that I can't pull up now because I'm on my phone. But anyways, so that is the source. It's exactly like Perez Hilton said. It was not in the year 2024 that he received information. It was 2025. In fact, it's on his video that day. And it's also acknowledged with Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. Billy Bush is the outlier, of course, and that's because he didn't have access to the video. So he didn't distribute the unedited video. He was the outlier, but he did have Brian Friedman on his Hot Mics podcast. So if you're wondering why Billy Bush was never subpoenaed, I think that's because he didn't get the video. Of course, he was a new podcaster. His channel only came up in January, I believe, so he was still building his audience. But he didn't start commenting on the Blake Lively case until much later as well. So the Wayfarer parties probably didn't even think about, contacting him until later, until he got more coverage on the case. So that was the source, at least in my opinion and my belief. You can look up the Perez Hilton video dated January 21st. He also it's also acknowledged in his video addressing the text messages that he's referenced to. So that gives me a pretty good indication that Justin Baldoni would have given Blake Lively this information when they were handing over evidence and whatnot. And that's why these names were under seal, because I guess it was Wayfarer's work product and part of their defense in releasing this video along with the website. And another Easter egg, which is not so much an Easter egg, is, Blake Lively, wanting to gag everybody immediately because she couldn't gag Justin Baldoni, right? Because she mentioned the content creators in that request for a gag order. And I believe it was the beginning of February where the judge was like, oh yeah, play nice and follow the rules and you're not going to have a gag order, at least at this point. But she wanted a gag order because she knew that it was going to the content creators, because Laura Knighty's channel also got the video through page 6 Yes. And she also commented on that on January 21st, 2025. And I think that's why she was targeted, is because when Perez Hilton and TMZ and everybody got these videos, and Lauren Knighty, who has videos on Lauren Owens' case and some, I believe they're video game videos, I believe Blake Lively thought, oh, and this content creator got this from TMZ, and so they're seeding and this and that, and I'm disparaged or whatever. So they couldn't shut up Wayfarer in February. So maybe they just Googled or YouTubed the other content creators that had a hashtag Blake Lively and sent them all subpoenas, apparently all over the world. Another Easter egg I think is probably not important, but I think we all noticed, is Taylor Swift is open to being deposed. And I think that is her way of getting back at Blake Lively, and that this has been a slow media campaign on Taylor Swift's part with Blake Lively, and slowly placing these stories and clearing the record and saying, hey, they're not friends anymore or whatever. And it kind of leads up to this point, which seems like a really good climax of drama, of Taylor Swift, possibly rescinding her godmothership of her kids, because what Blake Lively did was so egregious and so wrong and so hurtful. And maybe Taylor Swift is cutthroat and nobody mucks with Taylor Swift. And maybe Blake Lively learned from Taylor Swift in the mafia style, because Taylor has it all locked down. So maybe this is way of Taylor getting back at her for threats of releasing 10 years worth of text messages. Can you imagine that? Oosh. And that would be bad news bears for Blake Lively. And bad news bears for Taylor Swift. Neither of them play, but Taylor Swift definitely does not play. Another Easter egg that I kind of want to point out is that in the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, they also had experts on how their reputations were ruined and how future earnings and how they calculate what future earnings would be or possibly could be. And there was a witness for Amber Heard, and she said that she took Amber Heard's career and she took it 2 years back, the current year, and then 2 years forward on future earnings. And she took a couple of like actors. So in her definition, the like actors were, not so established, what you call A-listers now, like Zendaya, Chris Pine. I think Amber Heard was also compared to, they mentioned Star Trek, Zendaya, because of Spider-Man, and they were trying to compare, they were comparing Amber Heard to Jason Momoa, because her name would be attached to his on the Aquaman movie. So she'd get to pay higher value because he is higher value, essentially. So anyway, 2 years back, they analyzed, and then they analyzed front, and then they analyzed future. They brought up the fact that Amber Heard and L'Oreal, they're on a hold, and that is because they did the analysis of social media, and it just wasn't the right time for Amber to go forward with L'Oreal at that time. and campaign for their products. So they held her, kind of similar to what Blake Lively is in. So, which is actually curious. Here's another Easter egg where I think she is going to bring up damages. Okay, see, this video gets longer as I start thinking about stuff when I'm relaxed and I'm not stressed out with kiddos. So she's looking at damages. So if you look 2 years back, the last movie that she had was, oh God, it was that shelved movie that I can't even, Rhythm Section. I've never seen it and I never heard of it, but apparently it was made years earlier and it was never released. And then it was released and I guess Blake Lively had a hand in some things, possibly. And so they're going to be looking at that. They're also going to be looking at her sales. And I hope they take in fact that Target wasn't the best big box store to roll out, because they are going through right now an active boycott online because of their DEI initiatives. And then before that, they had gotten rid of a couple of I am so sorry, I have a brain fart, of another community. It was the LGBTQ. They were, I believe, reducing or getting rid of that section, and there was some beginning backlash because of that. And then, of course, in 2025, her sales tanked just because there was that boycott, especially in January and February, where there are active boycotts actively being organized online. So I hope the expert takes that into account as like, hey, if we didn't have a boycott at Target, her sales would have been a lot better. At this time, it's reported that Target's foot traffic is down for its 7th month. Well, of course, because there is still a boycott. It is also rumored that Target is trying to get around that boycott by selling on eBay, where a person was, buying a broom or a product from eBay, and he got it in a Target package. And he knew that it was a Target package because he used to work at Target, I believe is the story. So if there's an active backlash at Target, Blake Lively is naturally not going to do well. And unfortunately, it's just a bad look if you associate history and current events. It's like birds of a feather flock together. Well, she has such a history of negativity associated with the South and her beliefs and her wedding, and I'm sure some people might look at that and think, well, Target has this set of beliefs now, and a certain community is holding online don't go there campaigns. And then you're associated with Blake Lively, who has a controversial history where her nickname is Black-Faced Betty. So I hope they take that into account. Now, the way that they took Amber Heard's thing or estimate into account of future earnings was she was going to do Aquaman 1, which was going to be like $1 million or something like that. And then Aquaman 2, which she was slated to do, but then her role got really reduced because of chemistry problems, according to production, is what it was testified. But if she was going to get $2 million, and then if there was a third, she was going to get $4 million. And then out of that third, it was suggested that there would be like more opportunities, like more side jobs and brands and everything, because you can take it out on popularity. And that's why they said, well, Amber Heard is held, so that's why she's damaged, and so I think they're going to take that into consideration, because Blake Lively is slated for it's not even, nothing is set in stone, and it's two years from now. So that's right in the middle of her expert testimony, and she can say, yeah, because of this, my movie is held, and but she's also gonna have a hard time if she's showing up at Flossy Pop and saying that her brand did really well, But if you look at it, how well is it really doing if there's an active boycott? So that's another Easter egg in all of this. And really, it really does turn out that Blake Lively really didn't need anything from Perez Hilton or Andy Signor or Laura. Oh my goodness, Laura, is it Laura Owens or Candace Owens? Oh my God, I'm getting people mixed up. And it explains why Billy Bush was mentioned, because he came in later, but he was never subpoenaed because she did not. He didn't distribute the movie right then and there, or the video. So she couldn't go after them, but she's been going after Wayfarer since the beginning of that movie, trying to gag them. Couldn't gag Justin Baldoni, so she was going to go for the content creators. And they bit back. So really, did Perez really need journalistic privilege? Yeah. But also, if Blake Lively did their homework, they would have seen that he was on TV telling who his source was and that he was truthful. So what were they really doing? Were they just harassing him too, to hush him up? Because again, Billy Bush didn't release a video, and he also did not get harassed like everybody else. And I will point out that that not everybody released a video. Cassidy did not release the video. She came in February, so she came in after January 21st of 2025. But she was one of the ones that pointed out the metadata. And she had a extremely well and thorough and beautiful take on everything. So I think that's why Blake Lively also went after her, because it was about the metadata and the original story. Now all of that has kind of like died down. The leakers, the WME executive, that stuff has died down now. And I believe it was, again, I can't think. I am so sorry for this. But anyway, those are my Easter eggs. Let me know what you think. Let me know, subscribe, share, like, and yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. Thanks, house guests, and have a great day.